Late 60s, early 70s, a lot of people in North America were getting into hypnotism, or what's considered suggestive motivation. Now, Rod Serling took this on in the third season of Night Gallery, a very interesting episode he wrote, and it's pretty well maybe one of the last great things he wrote for Night Gallery. Of course, we're talking about Finnegan's Flight. Now, Finnegan's Flight starred one of his muses out the Twilight Zone, Burgess Meredith, in a very interesting acting performance where basically we don't know exactly why he's in prison and what is going on, but it seems that he's susceptible to hypnotism from his fellow prisoners. Now, according to David Jewell's great blog spot or WordPress interpretation of the episode, it has good acting, but a somewhat wobbly script, and I tend to agree. But for me, it really works on second or third viewing. You have to watch it 3 or 4 times to catch on what's going on. Now, this was written by Rod Serling and directed by Gene Kearney, with a great Burgess Meredith as Charlie's Finnegan, Cameron Mitchell in a return visit to Night Gallery after Green Fingers, playing a totally different character in Pete Tuttle, the great Barry Sullivan as Dr. Simshis, Kenneth Tobey as the warden, Dort Clark as the third prisoner, John Gill Green as the infirmary guard, Roger E. Mosley as the second prisoner, Raymond Mayo as the first prisoner, and Michael Masters as the tower guard. Now, Meredith was featured in such TZ episodes as Time Enough at Last and the Obsolete Man, classics of any genre. He also appeared in the first season Night Gallery story, The Little Black Bag. However, here he's saddled with a lesser script, but still handled Serling's dialogue wonderfully, perhaps as well as any actor ever did. Serling could always write for Burgess Meredith, and this was well before he showed up as the trainer in Rocky, so Burgess was everybody's beloved Twilight Zone interpreter, and I think Night Gallery would be better if he was appeared in more episodes. In this one, he portrays Charlie Finnegan, an aging, longtime prisoner who longs for freedom. Freedom symbolized to him while dreamily watching jet airplanes flying above the prison yard. He marvels at the great advances in aircraft technology, including jetcraft, since his confinement with fellow prisoner Pete Tuttle. Now, Tuttle's character, the motivation, we don't know why he latches on to Charlie and the level of hypnotism. Now, Tuttle has unheralded abilities as a hypnotist, and in Charlie is found a subject who is extremely receptive to his suggestion. One afternoon in the yard, he tries this out, and he's gaining in his hypnotism power. He hypnotized Charlie that his hands are indestructible, and Charlie attempts to escape by punching his way through the thick brick wall of the yard, resulting in multiple fractures to the bones and hands. He is eventually brought to an infirmary and examined by the prison psychiatrist, played by Sullivan, who has heard of Tuttle's skill at hypnosis, and asked the fellow prisoner to demonstrate on Charlie in the doctor's office. Now, here it doesn't make any sense. Why would the psychiatrist let Tuttle try out his hypnotism on Charlie unless he knew something about both Tuttle and Charlie? But it's never really spoken about. Tuttle hypnotized Charlie at one point, convinced him that a cup of drinking water is swallowed hot. He tells Charlie to put his fingers into the cup, and within a few seconds he withdraws fingers from the heat. His brain convinced him existed in that water. Now Dr. Simshis arranges for more extensive hypnosis sessions to be conducted in the infirmary, and Tuttle induces Charlie to believe he's high up in the air, flying the plane. For a time, it's an exhilarating experience for Charlie, but soon things go wrong and take a strange turn. He begins having difficulty breathing. The doctor recognizes these are signs of the body running out of air. Eventually, we see what's going to happen. Tuttle understands that a significant event has gone horribly wrong, and Tuttle tries to talk him down, but to no avail. Charlie attempts to control the plane through a too fast descent, and without warning, there's a huge explosion in the infirmary. Charlie's plane has crashed, and its fire remains, along with those of its pilot. And I tell you why. Anything with Burgess Meredith is important, because Burgess Meredith could take any rotten script, because he did a lot of B movies, and he took the cliche script from Stallone did for Rocky. But if you look at this episode a second or third time, is it a tribute to prisoners and their willingness to be free? Is it Serling's last pretty well gasp of the Twilight Zone Night Gallery style, and he brought in Burgess Meredith. I know he probably only did the episode, and the only person who could really do his lines correctly, besides Roddy McDowell, was Burgess Meredith. Now, for me, Serling, there was no plagiarism. I mentioned before about previous episodes of the Twilight Zone were kind of plagiarizing on himself, especially the Night Gallery, but there's no plagiarism here. To my knowledge, he never really did too many episodes involving direct hypnotism or prisoners. Of course, the Dennis Weaver episode where he was reliving his execution on a regular basis. But for me, like I said, it works here because in a half an hour format, if Serling was on, there was no excess. Twilight Zone was like that, a pure 23 to 25 minutes. Now, third season, there was a lot of bummers, but this was an episode that people really should go back to, because if it's the Johnny Cash version of the Twilight Zone, this is something the followers of Johnny Cash's efforts to get prisoners that are in prison too long that need to be released out of prison, it appeals to you. And this is probably, I would suspect, his last bastion of the Twilight Zone style, but in the Night Gallery universe. Again, love Rod Serling to death, and this is his unique writing because he makes it like a play. It could easily become into a play because with the right special effects, it could be done. So it was quite good. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to our Halloween Week Night Gallery podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, or subscribe what you think. And don't forget requests on the channel for our sports columns, our movie columns, our TV columns. All our columns are greatly appreciated. If I can do it, I can find the information. But I want to just advise everybody that there's more than 50 previous review podcasts on the channel. Put in your favorite episode. Is not there, make the requests. If not, please check them out. I even touch about the syndication package, how some of the episodes are ruined, and the unfilmed Night Gallery episodes, including a very interesting one where Serling made a character looking out the window and seeing his past, and he joins his past. It's quite interesting. Thanks for listening. Bye.